Older gets younger every day. This is the focus group.
It's the savvy side of 9 to 5. Listen.
Bueller.
Laugh. And learn.
Negotiation. This is what you do in business.
This is the focus group with Tim Bennett.
STAUNCH.
And John Nash.
Keep your clothes looking neat and clean.
We're all business. Except when we're not.
Hello and welcome to the focus group. Thanks for joining us live. I'm Tim Bennett here as always with my good friend and co-host, Mr. John Nash. Thanks for joining us if you're watching live through Facebook or through our YouTube channel, which is also called Focus Group or The Focus Group Radio. If you do the search, you'll be able to find us. You can also download all of our shows and look at watch them or listen to them at focusgroupradio.com. There's all the audio and video options there. We ask you to please like us and subscribe and rate us and all that other stuff. Because we need to, right?
There you go.
We need to. So if you've been watching for a while, you know we haven't had a lot of guests. We've been pretty particular. But today we actually have today we have two guests, and they're the author of SoWho'sCounting, and one of the people is a good friend of our show here, as you know, Erin McHugh, will be joining us with Emily Luchetti.
Emily, the chef.
Pastry chef, but also author of cookbooks. And they wrote a book about growing old and how we should celebrate that. And it's a book of quips and quotes. And you and I were both saying how we both read it and put us in a good mood.
Put me in a great mood. It's a cute little book, and I love some of the quotes. So they're coming on in our second half. And the first half, though, we have a couple things we're going to go over and, our normal stuff. By the way, this is an interesting size, and I'll save that all for when Erin.
I have a question for you, Mr. Nash.
Yes.
I've been watching something that I used to watch a long time, then I got bored with it, now I'm watching it again. I think it's better than it's ever been, and I don't think anybody's watching it, American Idol.
Oh, no. I never even checked out.
You guys watching American Idol?
I did check out one of the audition episodes a few weeks ago. It was fine.
What'd you think?
It was as good as I remembered
we have
it.
Stephen Garrett in the booth. You guys, so nobody else watching? You got to watch it. That's what I'm telling you.
I haven't watched American Idol since 2002.
I hadn't watched it in a long time either.
Yeah,
I got to
same.
tell you, the talent that they have, I don't know how they're going to pick this year. Everybody is dynamite. And you're making a face.
No,
You'll watch Star Trek for the 10,000th time, rerun, but you won't watch a new live show.
Because I have commitment phobia.
What?
It's a real thing.
Married 33 years, commitment phobia.
That's a different kind of commitment.
It's still a phobia.
This is the thing where, let's say you're watching TV and you're not really watching because there's nothing to watch, and you're going through the guide, you're endlessly scrolling. Do you want to watch? Then you go and you click on Apple TV and you turn it on, and you have Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu. Let's say you go to Netflix. Now it's show after show after show recommends this, and as you're scrolling through, it's overwhelming.
So what do you watch on Sunday nights? 60 Minutes.
No.
I don't even watch that anymore.
Well, I'm in favor of watching a movie. So we have a lot of movies on Blu-ray that we haven't gotten to, and now we're doing this thing where it's like 3 movies a week or something, and we set up the nights we're going to watch it. An hour and a half, 2 hours. It's a movie I haven't seen. I didn't get to see it in theaters. I watch it now. But on the TV side, on the series or shows, oh my God, no.
So you have a movie night.
Well, yeah, multiple movie nights, yeah. Russian Doll we're watching on Netflix right now. We're like 4 episodes in.
What is that?
22-minute episodes. One of the actresses is from Orange is the New Black. She's stuck in this. She basically gets killed every episode, and she wakes. The whole time thing starts again at a bathroom at a birthday party she's at. So she's like in a time loop.
Like Kenny in South Park gets killed every episode. Didn't he get killed every episode?
It's sort of like that. Yeah, it's sort of like that. And then...
what does she keep living over?
Same thing. And as the show progresses, she tries to change she'll be super careful, but ultimately something always trips her up and she always gets killed. But then...
Is it gory or anything?
No, it's not. I wouldn't say that. It's, there's a dark humor to it.
One season?
Yeah, so far it's just
Who recommended this?
Oh, Pat and Gary did. A bunch of people did. And there's another series I want to watch called Bodyguard. It's a British show. British on Netflix. And everybody who told me about this show said if you could survive the first 5 minutes without flinching or turning off the TV, you're all set.
Why is that?
apparently something happens in the first part of this show, Bodyguard, the very first episode. I think there's only 8 episodes or something that is really like, oh my God.
So is that Netflix, Bodyguard?
It's Netflix, yeah.
This other one was called Russian Doll. I haven't heard of Russian Doll.
Yeah, Russian Doll's not bad.
And do you like it?
Yeah, we enjoy it. So enough people have to actually tell me to watch something.
Well, I'm telling you to watch Idol. I get a couple extra votes.
I'm telling you to watch American
I get more than one
Idol.
vote.
You get a lot. You get super votes. You're like a super delegate.
Super delegate. I'm telling you,
delegate.
you got to watch it. I think you should watch one episode on Sunday, or it's on demand.
It's
all right. You don't like competitive. You don't like those shows.
No, it's
You never watched any of those shows.
I liked the Gong Show when we were growing up.
That's not the Gong Show. But you never watched the dancing show, which I don't either. I don't watch The Voice. I don't watch that.
No.
America Says You Can Dance.
Is The Voice the one where they're in the chairs and the chairs spin
I don't
around, they hit the buttons, and you're out or you're in or you're on my team or oh God,
everybody knows that you're not going to be a great.
But you're going. This is classic. The one that started all, American Idol.
Yeah, and the judges are great. Lionel Richie, Katy Perry, and of course I'm going to forget his name, the country and western guy. I always forget his name. Not Luke Bryan, but somebody like that. And it's well done. I think it's well done.
So you're sitting in the chair, the big chair.
So in the big chair, Spike is usually right to my left. I'm eating pistachios or something. I got my command center right to the right of me.
Cold is the cold is the cold. The bottle of red wine.
If I had a high five, record on it. And flip it over.
Years ago, we had a funny little. Was it Paul Hagen visiting us?
Yeah, we had to pick the song of what was it? The song of our life, or the song that most represented us? Or
yes, and you picked Xanadu for me. Although there wasn't.
No. We had to pick our own songs. And do you remember what you picked?
Oh, it was some song. It was some soundtrack song by
Finding Nemo.
Yeah, some little electronic song.
And Paul picked the the At Last. Etta James.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think I picked Cold by Annie Lennox.
Yes, you did. And that's when I said you could imagine Tim in some house coat. The dogs are like searching around for food.
Chinese food all around. The dogs eating Chinese food.
And the record's skipping because it's an LP. Cold is the cold is the cold is the cold is the cold. Knock, knock, knock. Anybody home? Cold is the cold. Oh, I love the whole image of, and then American Idol's playing on TV over and over and over again. I love my idol. Cold is the cold.
That's like I was telling somebody when he took me to American Beauty. And I said how horrible the movie was, which I still agree it was. And John's like, how did you know you snored through the whole thing? Remember I said in the theater, you got up and left me. I sat there snoring. I woke up and that was a horrible movie.
The movie starts 4 minutes in, he's asleep. And then 4 minutes before the end, you wake up. So there's this whole middle part of all this stuff that happened. And you're like,
the movie was fascinating.
You're like,
really?
You're like, this is a garbage movie. And everybody in the audience is looking at us like, because you're like, you're Mr. Grumpy, his arms are crossed. He's like, this was a terrible movie.
I still think it is, though. I tried watching it afterwards. Nobody can tell me American Beauty was a good movie. It's like The English Patient. They're bad movies.
Remember that? They even made fun of that on Seinfeld. Remember when
die already! Just die! She's on the desert on the rock.
That English Patient, I tell you. I don't know.
Yeah, it's bad movies.
Hey, look, I'd rather be doing that kind of spectator sport than watching what goes on in Washington on a weekly basis. It gets loonier and loonier and loonier. Just one for you. I don't know if you happened to see the other day, Steve Mnuchin, Secretary of Treasury. Mnuchin was being grilled by Maxine Waters. I guess he was on the mic for like 3 hours, and he's finally like, I got to leave.
I didn't see that. When was this?
I think it was yesterday when he goes, I got to leave. I got an appointment.
He did not.
Oh, yeah. He says, I'm having dignitary. He did have a legitimate. He was there for... I could understand the frustration.
He said, I have to leave.
I have to leave. I got an appointment. And she's like, well, what kind of appointment?
What did Auntie do?
You have an appointment with Congress right here, right now. And he goes, look, if I leave, if I stay and I answer all these questions, I'm never coming back. And she goes, well, you can't say that. You can't say that. You know, it's just, I think that any adult who's rational looks at this and says, you know what, this reminds me of some, oh yeah, that's what it was. It was high school. It's the grammar school playground, right? Who's the top dog today? Well, whoever's got remember, I don't know, I'm going to date myself, but back in our school days, the coolest kid was the one that had, remember when you played marbles?
Yeah.
Okay, so one time my dad used to work for a manufacturing company, and he comes home and he brought me Steelies. Now, I didn't realize that a Steely was a ball bearing, right? So he said...
Steely. Where'd you get Steely from?
That was the name we gave him. We had Cat's Eyes, we had Steelies, we had Clearies. Clears were the clear ones. Those were rare. And so he's like, oh, look, I brought you bearings. I'm like, Steelies. He's like, I said, no. And they came in different sizes. There was a friend of mine, maybe it was John Fitzgerald. He always had big ball bearings. So he was always king of the marble thing. But anyway, this is what Washington reminds me of. Like, who brought the Clearies? Who brought the Steelies? I have a meeting I got to go to. Oh, really? Oh, really? You're here right now. You're under oath. It was insane.
Did you play marbles during recess?
Yeah, we did for a little while. Then everybody lost interest. It was more a thing of like you carried your bag around, you could do it, and then you would bring your Matchbox cars. Again, we're really dating ourselves. We're harkening to a much simpler time.
Yeah, but we did a lot of marbles, and I would say it was 4th and 5th grade, and it was pretty competitive.
And you won. If you won, you
took the other guy's marbles.
Yeah.
And I remember one time I had no marbles left. I had one. It still bothers me now. I just remember the guy's name, Ray Huntley. I had a chip marble. That's all I had left. Piece of chip glass. And I said, he goes, you want to play? I said, I don't have any of that.
Who's the guy, Ray Huntley?
Ray Huntley. And
I remember Ray went to high school with us.
Right. It was a big one, but it was chipped. So he played me for a little one. And I ended up winning, so I got one marble back. And then I went home and told my mother I need to get marbles. And, you just didn't do that.
No, you didn't, but they were often given as gifts. You get a bag of marbles. Now, we have someone on the phone calling for you.
Well, who's that?
Hello,
Jason.
It's Jason from New York.
Hey,
Hello.
Jason.
Rumor has it someone has a business birthday today.
Well, my birthday was yesterday, but there is a business birthday today. Somebody that has been on the show before.
Oh, nice. Well, I call to wish you a happy belated birthday forever and ever and ever.
Thank you, Jason.
Hey, Jason, are you an American Idol fan by any chance?
No, not since the original old days. I haven't watched it since, I think, the first person won, Cody Carson.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm telling you, you'll be shocked because I was forced to watch it. And I was shocked. No, I was shocked how good it is. I think next Sunday I want everybody to tune in. I think it's Sunday to tune in to American Idol and take a look at they're down to the 14 contestants. I think it's going to be a tough time picking the best singer. They're all dynamite.
I got to tune back into that. But there's so much good
should.
stuff on TV now, including last night. Did you guys watch Fosse Verdon?
What's that?
No, what is that?
Oh, my God. It's the story of Bob Fosse and Gwen Verdon, like their relationship.
Jason, I think Sam Rockwell plays Fosse, right?
Yes.
So
And,
I read about it. How'd you like it? I guess you liked it.
Well, yeah.
What channel was that on?
Huh?
What was
FX.
what
Ryan
FX?
Murphy produced it, directed it, I think, yeah.
Okay, what's it called?
Fosse, for Bob Fosse.
Fosse Verdon.
Oh, I'll have to watch that.
Yeah, it's really good. And I forget Williams. I always forget her name. Michelle Williams plays Gwen Verdon, and her voice alone, she's like totally nails it. I won't be surprised if they get nominated for some Emmys and
For an Emmy, yeah, exactly. No, I saw Sam Rockwell on the CBS Sunday Morning Show, and he was talking about how he has to get into character to play Bob Fosse, who is very corrosive and incredibly talented, but, quite a personality. All right, so that's one great show that you could watch instead of doing American Idol.
Listen.
Oh no! Okay, I'll probably tune. When does it come on? I don't even know when it's.
I believe it's on.
Anymore.
I believe it's on Sundays. And what I love about it is right after it's my other favorite show on TV, Shark Tank.
Game of Thrones?
No, Shark Tank.
Oh.
I'm a Shark Tank guy. I don't watch Game of Thrones. I want things in I live in the now, Jason. I live in reality.
Sounds like Jason and I would have a very similar television.
Yeah. Winter is finally coming.
Oh yeah.
I don't want sci-fi, dystopic.
Oh,
I live in the real world.
Well, some of us need to escape, Tim.
I understand.
I have a meeting to go to. Bye.
Well said. Thank you, my friend, for
Thank you,
calling.
Jason.
Thank you.
Thanks for the birthday wishes.
One quick thing. Are you guys coming to the DNR Harbor Cruise?
Oh, we're thinking about that. Yeah, we heard about that.
Yay. All right, it'll be fun.
We'll have to talk to Katie.
Well, yeah, I'm having lunch with Miss Katie soon to arrange these things. Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Jason.
Have a good show, guys. Bye.
Thank you. We have Billy calling from New York as well. Billy, is this Mr. Billy?
Yes, it is. Happy birthday, Tim.
Thank you. How did you know it was my birthday? On the Facebook, probably.
Well, maybe because I know who you are.
Maybe because I know who you never let Billy.
Well, thank you for the birthday wishes. I almost forgot it was my birthday. I had a text come in at like 12:05, and I thought something was wrong. It was from Japan. It was one of the guys I used to work with in Japan had sent a.
And he said, "Domo arigato, Mr. Robato."
If you liked him, I could be your internet stalker or something. But
No, that's okay.
You can start sending him pictures of rare car parts. Prop from a plane, and Tim will be like, who's this mystery guy sending me a carburetor? Yeah.
Hey, I remembered he likes the Munster, so I sent him Herman.
That's right. I did see that. Thank you. I did not get on. Surprisingly, I was not really on Facebook yesterday. So to those of you that did send me birthday greetings, thank you. But I have to go through them. I didn't go through Facebook yesterday.
Yeah, well, yesterday was also Bring the Fiero Home running day, so I'm blowing my own horn on that.
Bring the Fiero home running. I like that.
Well, thank you, Billy.
All right. Have a good show, and I'll watch the girls come on.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. So what caught our eye this week, Mr.
What
Nash?
caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
Okay, we're going to do... We have the same caught our eye because, as many of you know, me and Tim made our names in marketing and advertising working in the LGBT space, although back when we began, it was just called the gay and lesbian market.
Gay market.
I owned agencies that were designed to help blue chip customers reach the market by coming up with custom creative, research, the whole bit. And Tim was director of marketing and advertising at Subaru of America for 15 or 16 years, and you directed our agency. So we worked on Subaru. We had Absolute, Diet Pepsi, John Hancock, Chase, a whole bunch of companies. And through those years, we used to buy media in magazines like Out and Advocate or local newspapers, and then there was Passport and there was Instinct. There was a collection of publications. What caught our eye was an interesting article that came up in Women's Wear Daily, WWD, and it said, "Unpaid Out magazine contributors demanding payment amid fresh layoffs." So it's kind of convoluted about the ownership chain here, but
I was confused by it. I actually went and read another story in the New York Times.
To clarify
as confusing.
Yeah.
No, equally as confusing. As to a lot of finger pointing.
Oh, yeah. So back in the day, there used to be Liberation Publications, and they owned The Advocate. And then they merged with someone else, and then they got Advocate and Out. And then they were bought by Planet Out Partners. Planet Out was going to be the Death Star of gay media. They were going to websites and magazines. And one time I was on a conference call with one of the owners of Planet Out, and I was like, all you need is a titty bar on the Vegas Strip. And you got everything all set up. Because they owned a cruise line, they owned a gay cruise line, then all this stuff.
A titty bar on the Strip.
That went over like a lead balloon with them, but everybody else on the call loved it because they were all like us. They're like, be a master of one thing, not a jack of all trades. And then Here TV, Here Media bought the whole kit and caboodle, and Here TV came. And then after a while, you could have said, Here should rebrand and put a W in front of their name. Like, where are they?
Right.
There's Here, where?
Or where's our payment?
Well, another thing. And then Here ran the magazines, and this is where it gets complicated. Here decided to outsource all the editorial to a company called Grand Media.
Right.
Which was the former editor-in-chief Erin Hinklin's company. And so he became a 1099 or something to the publishers, and he would provide all the content and pictures. They would pay him one fee. He would then pay the writers. And apparently he sold Grand to something called McCarthy something, right? You can see how this is going down a very, very strange route. Yeah, McCarthy. It's called McCarthy Publishing or something. Then that was all bought by a company called Pride Media, and Pride Media bought it lock, stock, and barrel. They began doing their thing, and that's when a lot of problems popped up because apparently people have not been paid. Stylists, writers, photographers, you name it, have not been paid for sometimes over a year now, right?
Right, and there were numbers. So one of the writers, a guy named Austin Daly, had put together. He gathered a bunch of the writers and freelancers together, and they put together a spreadsheet of what they were owed, which was in excess of $100,000.
It's a lot of money.
Which is a lot of money.
And look, if you're a freelancer and you're writing for a living, that's an important piece of your income, right?
And the one guy said he was owed, this Austin Daly said he was owed like $1,480 or something. And he said to a lot of people that might not sound like a lot of money, but for me it's 6 weeks' rent.
Yeah.
He said, so for me, it is money. And what ends up happening is John mentioned all these different entities that were involved. As I said, I went and also read a New York Times article to see if there was any clarification. But essentially, they all pointed fingers at each other and blamed one another of these holding companies as to who was going to be liable for the bills. And I still think that they haven't come to some sort of resolve. They said they're going to try to pay some of these freelancers back, but they keep blaming the company that was there prior. And I know that I saw on Facebook even Michael Musto had written. He said they told me 2 weeks ago my check was in the mail. It just has to go a block from where I live.
The reason we thought this caught our eye is because in the many, many, many years now of our professional career that we've done work in the LGBT space, maybe it's because it's a microcosm of a larger, like there are tons of magazines, but we've seen a lot of businesses go south of the border or bad, or there's this weird thing where we hear stories of people not being treated correctly or non-payment, and it seems to be aggravated or made magnified by the fact that it's the LGBT sector.
Right.
Maybe because you're looking at a narrow slice, and this happens all the time. But, you know, to cap this one off, Pride Media, who now owns all those, they laid off 5 staffers recently, and they instituted an 8% reduction in salary for everybody they kept. Now, I don't know how happy you would be walking in one day and someone saying, we're going to hold 8%.
Right.
And that's just because we're leveling out the playing field. But then when that same guy was talked to about the business, it's going gangbusters. We've never had a better year in our life. You can't have these two...
I love that one.
Did you?
It's out of control. Brand's momentum's out of control.
I like that. Which
we got ads from Gucci and Cadillac.
Which tells you either it's out of control, as in the brakes aren't working, and it's going to crash, or hit the accelerator. This thing's going to grow. I don't know.
So is Advocate still tied up with this bunch? So
yes,
is it out in Advocate?
It's out in Advocate. Yeah.
What I always marvel at, and they did say that they had advertising from, I think they said Gucci and Cadillac and somebody else. I forget who the other brand was, but there continues to be brands over and over again that support these magazines. Yet you and I struggle. A lot of other LGBT media programming struggles to try to get the attention. Yet why would these brands invest and just throw money into something that's so shoddily run? I think it's because of laziness. The media companies are lazy.
It's a numbers game. You know, Out and Advocate have high web traffic. Click, 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 click. That's what people want.
Well, if you hire people, temps to sit and click all day.
But I got to tell you something. If you're a media buyer and your responsibility is to know the market you're advising your clients on, wouldn't you pay attention to this story?
Well, I laughed at Cadillac because...
And wouldn't you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to be doing a big buy, and it turns out that this might actually not be a viable entity. I mean, I don't want to knock it, but when stories, let's just end it this way. When a story from a LGBT magazine reaches Women's Wear Daily and the New York Times, something's going on. What's that? Where there's smoke?
There's smoke, there's fire. The other thing I always marvel at, though, with any of these magazines and all the focus groups we used to do, whenever we'd go to all these cities, and probably covered in our time 20 to 25 U.S. cities, and asked gay and lesbian consumers about what they consumed.
Never heard of it.
It was always local media.
Yeah, newspapers.
Local newspapers, local media. I don't think we ever had somebody say they referenced an ad that they saw that were in one of the national publications, whether it was Genre or Out or any of these magazines. So I feel bad because I think...
a lot of talented people get affected.
But magazines like this are needed, but they need to be also better run. And what you had mentioned, the New York Times had a sub-story that said similar things happening to Ebony and Jet magazine for the African-American community. So maybe it's just that magazines in general are struggling and catching up to the niche titles.
Yeah.
So, okay. Do you get either magazine?
Nope. Nope.
Not even free?
Not even free, no. But...
All right. Our business birthday today.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
One time I had said to John that I had a couple of business birthdays, and I didn't think they fit the category because they were entertainers. And John said, oh, no, they're somebody who's an entertainer, that's a career. Mm-hmm. And you have to run your business and all those other things that go with it. So this one popped up, and she'd been a guest on our show. Her birthday is today, April 10th. She was born in 1928. She's 91 today. She's sold out if you're in New York City area at Feinstein's 54 Below. We tried to get tickets for my birthday. We couldn't.
You could.
We could, but
They
we
were
didn't.
super expensive.
They were super expensive, but I do want to go see her. Marilyn May. And if you don't know who Marilyn May is, if you're watching online, there's a picture of John and I when she was in the studio with us at SiriusXM. And then there she is at her 89th birthday, kicking up her shoe like that. Can you believe? I can't do that now.
She's doing a high kick.
High kick. She's 91 today. She's an American treasure. I mean, she really is an icon. She's from Wichita, Kansas. And she started singing at the age of 3. She won a talent contest at 14, and she had a 13-week appearance on the radio in Topeka, Kansas. And she then moved to Kansas City, Missouri, where she was discovered by Steve Allen. Remember
she talked about that, yeah.
And shortly after that, she had a contract with RCA. In 1966, she got a nomination for a Grammy Award for the Best New Artist. She appeared, I love this, and people are trying to do a petition, and I wish they would. Harry Connick Jr. just had him, when he had a talk show, had her on because he saw her at Feinstein's and had her on, and she blew the place away. She was on Johnny Carson's Tonight Show 76 times, more than any other singer.
76 times?
She appeared 76 times on the Tonight Show, a record for any singer, and they said perhaps the simplest Marilyn May accolade came from Johnny after she gave one of her show-stopping appearances on the Tonight Show. He turned, looked right into the camera, the audience of millions, and said, "And that, young singers, is the way it's done."
I love Johnny. That young singer
is the way it's done. She also got her place in the Smithsonian Institute. They selected one of her songs, "Too Late Now," as one of the 110 best American compositions of music for the 20th century. Philadelphia Inquirer, I like this. They did this last year when she was in Philly. Calling her a cabaret singer is like calling Picasso a painter. It's all true, but it leaves a lot out. And then
that says it all, right?
And then the best one was she was very good friends with Ella Fitzgerald, and Ella Fitzgerald always referred to Marilyn as the greatest white female singer in the world. But happy birthday, Marilyn May. If you're in the New York area, or she does over 100 engagements a year.
There you go.
She goes up and down the East Coast. She does a lot of shows in the Midwest and in the West Coast down to Florida. She's in Palm Springs.
We can't recommend her enough.
Happy birthday, Marilyn. 91, still touring, over 100 engagements this year.
And yeah, as a business birthday, a big happy birthday to Tim Bennett. By the way, to all people listening or watching, Tim does business birthdays, so he's done mine 2 or 3 times now.
Yeah, and I should save it because I was write it up again.
And I don't know if it's allowed to be the reverse thing, like because you're the keeper of the business birthday. So for you to do your own birthday would be kind of. But I think doing Marilyn May is a kind of a fun little side.
Yeah, I don't think I was trying to think if the show was ever on my birthday.
We've not had. Oh yeah, we've had.
Has it been on my birthday?
But then we do funny things with surprises and other things. So
that was the.
Great one. It
was the business birthday. So a lot of you know that our friends here on the show are Deep Discount. Be sure to head over to focusgroupradio.com and click on the Deep Discount logo. You'll see Sharky the Shark there.
Sharky!
Of course, Deep Discount asks you to own or tells you to own your own passion. And this week, there's what is the sale this week, John?
It's the under $10 in budget sale. I went down the rabbit hole on this one. And in honor of Tim's birthday, now, you could buy a lot of things at Deep Discount. Books, toys, music, of course, movies and DVDs and Blu-rays, TV shows. I went and found a book that screamed at me, "Happy birthday, Tim Bennett."
I hope you ordered it.
And the book is called Inside North Korea.
Are both pages in full color?
All pages in full color. So this is a book by a Guardian journalist and photographer named Oliver Wainwright. And Steve, I actually added a couple panels after in the deck to show some spreads of the book, I think. He was granted access to Pyongyang in a rather unprecedented way. And here, if you happen to be watching on the video, there are some pictures of these incredibly sterile environments.
Mid-century modern.
So what we're looking at here is the locker room to this beautiful stadium that no one's ever going to use. And in fact, one of the captions.
Pictures of the dear leaders in every room.
Yeah, and it's for FIFA, the soccer league. So, erased by bombing during the Korean War, North Korea's trophy capital of Pyongyang was entirely rebuilt from scratch starting in 1953. under the vision of Kim Il-sung, which is the daddy of them all, right? The father.
Born in Russia, by the way.
Designed it. Seriously?
Yeah.
So here's a picture of kids in some enormous ballroom. I guess they're doing dancing or something. They're adorable, actually. The book features 300 photographs with insightful captions as well as an introductory essay where Wainwright charts the history and development of Pyongyang. So I just thought, because of Tim's...
Perfect.
Yeah, a fascinating photographic tour of North Korea's colorful and bizarre interiors which resemble Wes Anderson movie sets.
That could be a coffee table book. I got to get that.
It's $42.50 at deep discount, and it's Inside North Korea.
Oh, thank you. That's a good one.
That's for you.
I picked Saturday Night Fever, which is the director's cut.
Brilliant. Oh, there's a director's cut?
There's a director's cut. It was released in 2017. Of course, made John Travolta a star and got him nominated for an Oscar. And it's one of these where we often talk about you've loaned things out or
you didn't get
know
that
something
back.
so well you don't get them back. But this one, as a director's cut, actually has interviews from the directors and cast, and it's $8.85. So you can't beat it. So add that to your collection. Saturday Night Fever. That bar, I think, is still in existence, isn't it? The movie came out in '77.
It's a discotheque out in Queens. Yeah, and there's something about the dance floor that's
lights
still
up.
there. Yeah,
I remember going there once. Didn't it turn into a gay bar?
it might have actually.
I think you actually may have taken me there. And we were there and we were laughing because the squares were lighting up on the floor.
It very well could be. I'm trying to remember what the name was after a while too. Yeah. But the release this week at deep discount is Ray Donovan's Season 6. Ray Donovan is a fixer. He works for a powerful Los Angeles law firm and specializes in helping their rich and famous clients clean up situations that could cause serious embarrassment and unwanted publicity. A lot of friends of mine like this show. I haven't gotten into it personally, but if it's at Season 6 and it's now on DVD, we can guess that it's a successful run, right?
I know a lot of people do like it. I've not seen it.
Liev Schreiber is the main actor, and I think Season 6 also has a lot of Jon Voight in it because he plays his Liev Schreiber's father, the Ray Donovan father, a character. So that is the release of the week. So recapping for everybody, it's under 10 in budget sale over at Sharky the Shark. Deep discount. Get there by clicking on Sharky the Shark at FocusGroupRadio.com. Start your shopping experience. We would thank you for doing that. I picked a book. It's a coffee table book, and it's in honor of Tim's birthday, Inside North Korea.
Can't wait.
That's terrible. Thank you, Garrett. I'm going to get totally, it's totally like a bad Me Too movement or something. You pick Saturday Night Fever Director's Cut. I'm not sure a director's cut would be any better than the original. You know, the film is the film, right?
Yeah.
Maybe there's a couple little things added.
Extras.
And the new release is Ray Donovan, Season 6 on DVD. What do we say, Garrett?
Thanks, Deep Discount.
Full-throated approval of Deep Discount. So we're going to take a quick break. When we return, we're welcoming authors Erin McHugh and Emily Luchetti. And their book is So Who's Counting? It's a wonderful little quote book about getting older. And we're going to also celebrate Tim's birthday. So stay with us.
You're listening to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Learn more at FocusGroupRadio.com. Focus on the savvy side of 9 to 5 with The Focus Group.
Try, really try.
Listen, laugh, and learn with Tim and John.
I never try anything. I just do it.
So, as promised, older gets younger every day. Hey, I'm Tim Bennett here with my good friend and co-host, John Nash. We are The Focus Group. Thanks for tuning in live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. East through Facebook or through our stream at the YouTube channel. And, of course, you can find us at any time at FocusGroupRadio.com, all of our audio and video platforms, including our podcast, which is TFG Unbuttoned. We are so excited to have joining us today Erin McHugh and Emily Luchetti. Luchetti?
Luchetti. You got it right
wrong? I got it wrong the first time. And now I said it wrong.
When it didn't matter, you got it right.
I know. Did you coordinate your outfits?
No, actually,
No, we didn't. But we're so good and angelic. We always, white suits us.
That cork popping is to celebrate the publishing
of
So Who's Counting and Tim's birthday. May you always be 29. 29
exactly.
Living proof that older is getting younger all the time.
Many of you may recognize Erin as a family member here in the focus group. I was trying to remember what appearance this is of yours. It's got to be 10. I don't know.
Just about, I guess.
You've co-hosted sometimes.
I love
It's important to
co-hosting
note
too
that
with
Erin was
somebody.
our first guest on this set.
That's right.
When we left our old platform and came to
That's right, you
podcast
were our
land and
first
YouTube,
guest.
you were one of our
Starting
first
at the
guests. Well, yes, you do.
It's been downhill ever since. But
I had to double up.
But Erin, so to familiarize yourself, Erin, of course, is started being an author, and I don't know why I didn't realize this, but I saw it in your bio. Started writing books after you had a career in publishing in your mid-50s.
Mid-50s.
And Emily's a renowned pastry chef and also has written cookbooks.
Cookbooks, correct.
And so before we get to the book, tell us about how you two connected to write this book together.
We have a mutual friend in Massachusetts, and Emily comes by for the summer, but she lives in San Francisco. And this friend introduces Emily, said, gee, I would like to write things that are not cookbooks. For a change.
Yeah, like food related, but not recipe related.
And Emily had just turned 60 a couple of weeks before and had a gigantic party in San Francisco. Invited 60 people, women in the food business, to come and have lunch. And
Just
they all
get a
brought
little bit
cakes.
closer to the mic.
All brought cakes.
Better, Garrett.
And I was just about to turn 65. So we got together and met and had breakfast and sort of got along like a house of fire. And we started talking about books and projects that Emily might do. But then we got distracted and started talking about aging. And the books that we have found out there, the sort of gift books about aging, are so offensive and stupid. And, they're like, it's all about...
Tell like it
I'll
is.
tell it like it is.
Tell like it is.
It's always, things about, your body parts are sagging and you can't see the menu and stuff like that. And we thought we could do better than that.
Well, I think, too, we felt like, here we are. I was 60. Erin had turned 65. And we felt like we were, just in a way starting out. It's like you have all this years of experience, and now you feel like you're almost ready to go. And now someone, society, your friends, or even yourself saying, well, wait a minute, when are you going to start wrapping it up? And it's like, wrapping it up? I'm just starting,
There is a sense.
So it's just you get the AARP letter in the
minute
mail.
you hit 50, you start getting...
I refuse to sign
Oh, my God. Listen, you've got to do it.
Yeah.
The deals are great. Movie discounts, everything.
I know.
On principle,
Yeah,
I resist it.
I
I really resist
But I get to every time I get it. Do I take the discounts or do I go with the principal? It's a hard decision.
I know. Then I ended up getting my my Medicare benefits from them, so I might as well throw in the $12.
Yeah, no, Tim said one day, go on the AARP site, check out the stuff. You might, I don't shop at a lot of those places. It wasn't going to be.
No, but we traveled, we drove for Volkswagen cross country, and all our hotel rooms were 15% off.
Yeah,
That adds up.
Whatever. Yeah, I thought so.
Well, and they do have interesting articles, and you're getting old when you say, oh, they have interesting articles.
Yeah, or it's time for my free AARP donut, Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
Which they do,
But
yeah.
you do bring up something, because you mentioned that 60 is the new 50, 50 is the new 40, that 70 is the new 60. And we are living longer. People are, versus our parents' generation, we seem to be in better health and living longer.
Right.
And but there is a feeling of, well, should I start collecting Social Security, and I need to wind down? And so you guys were like,
Well, when we started to speak together about doing this, we sort of made a pact that we would never try not ever to say senior, except let's get the senior discount at the movies, or retire. So we believe more in reinvention than retire.
And I think, too, it doesn't mean you do the same thing you've been doing for the first 30 years or 40 years of your life. It's like, what do I want to do now? I only have so much time left. That's a physical fact. But it doesn't, you have to look at it as half full, not half empty.
Right.
So Emily, you're a pastry chef currently, right?
Yeah, I work with a...
Can you tell us a little bit about where it is and so people...
Yeah, I live in San Francisco, and I work with a restaurant group called Big Night Restaurant Group, and we have 6 restaurants, Cavalier, Marlowe, Park Tavern, things like that. And I design all the dessert menus for them. So I'm not involved in the day-to-day production anymore because that is a young person's game, and I don't want to do it anymore. But I'm still very much involved in designing the menus and help marketing the menus and things like that. So,
were you trained to do that?
I actually was trained on the savory side and cooked in restaurants for 6 years on the savory side, and then I switched to desserts because I was just losing my love for the savory side, and so that part's pretty much self-taught.
There is something though about the dessert side or the pastry, being a pastry chef, and I remember someone once told me it's about precision. Because it's precise measurements and recreating that lemon meringue pie. Or I'm just picking stuff.
No.
But it's unlike a chef who could kind of wing it one night and decide that he's not going to do the pork chop the same way as he did the last night. And maybe someone might notice, but there's a lot more latitude in a normal chef, like a chef or a sous chef's way they prepare. But pastry chef, you got to nail that cake or whatever the confection is every time, right?
Right. And I think there is a difference in personalities, both in professionals and non-professionals, when they say, oh, I like to cook, I don't like to bake. I said, would you like to follow instructions? And they say, well, no. And I said, well, then you don't want to bake. And so I think for me, it's kind of, it's interesting for me, but I kind of geek out about it. But it's like I take the pastry world with a kind of more of a savory approach. So it's like, what rules do I have to learn? And then what rules can I bend and what rules can I break? You know, some will say, well, can I swap walnuts for pecans? It's like, in my head, I'm like, of course you can. But then other times people are like, well, they think it's so precise, you just don't know.
Right.
So
you got to, well, that's like an animation. You have to know the rules and live the rules before you can ever dare to break them, right?
I think that's life.
So that's, well, and that comes through loud and clear. So I'm going to, this is, hey, Steve, I put a picture in the deck of, so when Erin and Emily sent out copies of the book to all their good friends, and I'm lucky to be one of them. We put up a picture of.
I ate the cookies right away.
The book came in a box of green Excelsior, and it was filled with fortune cookies as well that you guys actually have made. They're actual quotes that you may or may not have put in the book. Loved it, and
temporary tattoo.
Oh, and there's also the tattoo, and then there's stickers. Oh, in fact, they're right here.
Oh, yeah.
So I saved all the little stuff from a marketing point of view.
All right.
And the book itself is fantastic. So you're on the East Coast. Emily's on the West Coast. And I'm curious, after reading the book, cover to cover, I loved it. How did the process of writing it together and finding these quotes go about? Because some of the people that you've pulled in here were some of the usual suspects. Like I think there was Dick Van Dyke. Keep moving.
Right, keep moving, right.
And then later on there was, actually maybe it could only be one time you used him, which is surprising because this guy was a fountainhead. Was it Will Rogers?
Right. Yeah. Well, we all used that.
And we didn't want to use anybody more than once. No. Even though if we had the 3 quotes that were really good, we said, what's the best one?
Right.
Okay. Right. Okay. That was going to be my question, is because some of the people that you actually put in here, we all know. Like, we were just laughing about Tallulah Bankhead and Mae West on the way over to the studio the other day.
Well, you're trying to find some diversity, too. You're obviously going to include some people that are dead.
Happy birthday, Tim.
Thank you.
Happy birthday,
congrats,
Tim.
guys. Congrats on the new book. It's fantastic.
Thank you so much. It's a big week.
Cheers.
So we had, dead people that say great things. Of course, we want to include them. A lot of people who are alive, people you're surprised are still alive, like Keith Richards. And we had this thing. Emily would be on the West Coast, I'd be in the East, and on Thursday afternoons, we would gather all the quotes that we had found during the week, and then we wouldn't share them with each other until that morning, because to make it sort of a surprise. And we get on the phone, and you would think it would be like a 31-minute conversation, but never. It was always like 2.5 hours. Like,
I could see that.
I like this quote. Do you like that? I like it, but I think we used the word algorithm in another quote last week. Let's go back and look at that. I might like that one better. So it went on forever. It couldn't have been more fun.
And I think, too, what was interesting was that sometimes a very straightforward quote meant a little bit something different to me than it did to Erin. And so you just got to kind of explore that. And we also, if you find a quote that's really profound, you want to know more about the person because there must be some profoundness, more profoundness behind that.
Was there any disagreement that you really wanted one or Erin wanted one and it didn't get in?
I don't think so.
Or the publisher? Did the publisher have any say,
feel,
or the editor?
No, they pretty much didn't say anything. I don't think there's anything that we disagreed on. And I have to say, I think there's enough of respect that if Erin said, I really like this one, I'd say, okay.
So we haven't really had a fight yet, so, we're waiting.
Are there any quotes that you just couldn't put in?
We had one.
One quote.
And it was something we both really, really loved. But we both remember how this went down completely differently. So I'll let you tell what you.
So the quote I found was, "I never want to be the former anything," and
never want to be the former anything,
which is an amazing
awfully
quote.
Familiar to me.
So great.
Maybe you said it. So anyway,
well,
where we found it on the internet, where they said Condoleezza Rice said it. So we looked and looked and looked. We couldn't find it, and any person in there we verified the quote.
Right.
And so I have a friend who runs this part of the Washington Speakers Bureaus, and we got Condoleezza Rice's, Professor Rice's now at Stanford, her assistant's name. And so I contacted her and I said, can you please verify this quote? So she wrote back and she said, well, I'm sorry. We search high and low. I can't find it anywhere. This was the assistant. And I said, well, I emailed her back. I said, do you think you could just maybe ask her? And she's like, I asked her, she goes, I never said it. I said, well, can you say it now? So I didn't tell Erin that I was doing the research because I'm one of these people that's like, if I have news, I'll deliver the news. I'm not going to get involved in the process.
And I'm completely the opposite, as you know. So
she knew we'd thrown the quote out.
Right. So we had the big discussion that we couldn't keep it. And Emily said, I'm going to write to her. And I said, yeah. You're going to write to Madam Secretary. Here's what the letter says. Dear Madam Secretary, do you like cake? And so like months went by and we heard nothing more of it. So I was in a meeting somewhere and I get a text from Emily and it was like midnight. She was somewhere else and it was midnight her time. So it sort of worried me. We had finished our work for the day. So I'm in the meeting, but I sort of click and I look at it and here's what the email says. Dear Erin, I've heard from the doctor, and I'm afraid the news isn't good. It isn't anything what we had hoped for. And I thought, she's got stage 4 something. She's not even going to, she's going to die before the book comes out. Well, I didn't know that now the lady called herself Dr. Rice and not Madam Secretary. So I got all in a state that Emily was dying, and it was just about the quote.
But did you say we never found out who said that?
Never. Yeah. I've never found it anywhere. Like a lot of the quotes we found attributed to a couple different people, and then we trace it back and find the most early, rendition of it.
So do you need to get any permissions to use these, or as long as you credit them, you're fine?
As long as you credit them, if it's short like that, I think if you took a couple of paragraphs, it wouldn't be what's called fair use. But that's why you have to.
I would hardly think.
Yeah.
That's why you have to be careful. These quotes would be even,
right.
Yeah,
and they
copyright
were all,
law is weird, but it's...
We've got it evens down to like so-and-so said it at a speech at this university on this date, So.
Do you guys have a favorite quote, or is it impossible to pick? I picked 3 that I liked.
Let's hear yours.
Yeah, let's see, yeah.
Well, one of them is probably obvious. That, it was from John Hughes. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. Of course, that was Ferris Bueller. And
John Hughes wrote the script, yeah.
I always liked that one because I just thought it was really about, taking heed and time.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's true or not. Then happiness is nothing. This one I really liked most. Albert Schweitzer.
Mm-hmm.
Happiness is nothing more than good health and a bad memory.
I know. So
because everyone who has this, if you're
going
to hold on to all grudges and you're just going to right. So
right.
Being happy is having a bad memory. I do like that one. And then the last one I liked, I marked them off here. Neil Young.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
It's better to burn out than to fade away. Although it was a little bit similar to the Brokaw quote, or Dan Rather, where he said, I'd much rather wear out than rust out.
Yeah, right.
So those were the 3 that I really, they put a smile on my face and I laughed. And
Right.
Yeah.
And then I got lost just a couple of weeks ago in a black hole about Neil Young, thinking, let me find out more about that. And I thought, oh my gosh,
About Neil Young.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't nail these two, and they're literally side by side. Well, one is Dolly Parton. I just don't have time to get old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she's also she has some great business quotes too. Like she always professes you have to be your own manager. She's
Right.
got because she's had quite a career.
Was she the one who always said it takes a lot of money to look this cheap?
Yep.
Yeah. So she's got a
I've
lot.
heard her say it. She said it to me once.
And then right next to it, I don't want to get to the end of my life and find that I lived just the length of it. I want to have lived the width as well. It's Diane Ackerman, and
I did like that
That's
one. I
one of my
remember that.
It
favorites.
just makes you think about it for a second. You know,
Right.
like you're going. Is it the end-to-end
Yeah.
race, or is it the fullness of the whole thing?
Then we went down in the Diane Ackerman black hole, and found out that, like, as far as I know, this has not happened to either of you, that she is, she thinks of herself, she self-describes as a poet, but she's also a naturalist, and she has a molecule named after her.
Really?
The Diane Ackerman.
And it's not like a star that you can go buy for somebody.
A molecule named it.
I know. I thought maybe a small street named after her.
So the other thing that I wanted to comment on about reading the book, and again, we're talking to Erin McHugh and Emily Luchetti.
Can I steal a cupcake?
You may steal a cupcake. Happy birthday
It's
to
time.
We
you.
serve you. It's just your birthday.
The other thing about the book that I want to kind of compliment you, not kind of, but compliment you on is there is a flow to it that I think I was actually a little more than halfway through when I realized there's a cadence to this thing. And the cadence actually does a nice job of matching each of your chapters. But it does build. It's like a little ding, ding, like a little wave up. And I thought, God, the challenge of this would be you would have all these quotes laying on a table. Let's say you had 4x5
Did you see that picture?
Yeah, the note cards.
Yeah.
And then how you arrange those. And I know it might not seem to someone watching or listening that might be a big or a small thing, but just moving two of these things around or moving it to a different category could change the thought and the feeling of that particular section.
Well, thank you for that, because that's a nice compliment, and we worked really hard doing it.
I mean, not only are you winnowing down all the stuff, but you're also slotting it into
Right.
these silos that are all interconnected. And by the time you get to the end of the book, you're like, I said to Tim, we met, he said, what'd you think? I said, I loved it. I said, it's one of these books that you read it and, it's 40 or 45 minutes later, longer if you kind of start folding the pages down and contemplating what you're reading, but you feel great.
Right.
I felt great. I was like, I like this thinking. I want this mindset to move forward.
Exactly. Well, we want to be
So that goes to this-
inspiring and empowering and positive instead of
Self-deprecating.
Yeah.
Your chin's down at your
what's out there.
knees and you're sitting in a corner by a fireplace. Yeah.
Well, I think it's great. I mean, you always seem to plan it right too, as Mother's Day and Father's Day comes around, or graduation or anything. But it's a great. I said to John, it'd be a great stocking stuffer. It'd be a great book to bring to somebody's
keep
house as
getting
a
older.
hostess gift. Yeah.
Better than
a
some
hostess
cheap
gift.
bottle of wine.
Well, that was a whole other part of throughout the book. At least 4 times, different people have said, and I think you almost have one per section, that you cannot. The theory behind some of these quotes, or the thought is, it's inevitable.
Right.
And it comes through in these quotes like, hey, you're lucky to get to this point, so you might as well enjoy it. Or, what was that line you said to me the other day? We were talking about, it was this, you were telling me about this guy who yelled at you or something. He's like, you should get to my age. Oh, no, I'm sorry, it's Bob. Bob, we were talking about the book at dinner last night, and Bob said to me he used to work at this company, and he and this young guy were watching these 2 older janitors talk. And they were laughing. And one of them had these funny pants on or something. And the guy looks at me and says, "What are you laughing about?" He goes, "You're going to get here too."
Right.
So it's just one of those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
I laughed because I saw Dan Rather in there, that quote that he had, and he does kind of fit the mantra that you guys had about getting older is getting younger
a lot
every
of
day.
noise the last couple of years.
Well, and he now has a radio show. He just started, and he even himself says, "Who would ever thought?" And I don't know how old he is. He's in his 80s, isn't
Oh
he?
yeah.
And he's doing this, and he's doing it with all the vim and vigor that he did everything else. And so I think that part about it's great, because I do think everybody asks, where are you going to retire to? Are you going to retire to Florida? Or are you going to do this? Or are you going to do that? And
well, what's your? I mean, not to be too depressed about it, but what's your reason to get up out of bed every day? You know, if it is to drive around in the Winnebago, more power to you. But if it's not, and you want more meaning to you personally, you'd have to go out and find that, and you can shift it.
Now, as a pastry chef, I wonder what you think of these Magnolia cupcakes.
Well, it's nice to be served by a
think?
Well, I haven't had one. I'll have one now.
That, by the way, that was a recurring theme as well.
What's that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Lifelong,
When it comes to food, I'm just thinking about
lifelong learning.
Thank you.
Lifelong learning?
John?
Oh, I'll have one in a sec. Lifelong learning, the idea that you are motivated by knowledge, and a lot of the quotes talk about, they're differently worded, but the thesis would be, you stay young by staying curious and engaged.
Exactly.
And the minute you stop being engaged and stop learning is when you are in fact truly old. And one of the quotes is like, if you get to the end of the line and there's still things and you think you know everything, you did it all wrong. Because it's inverse. You should be getting more and more like, I know nothing. As you get older and older and older.
Do you think you guys will ever retire? Would you ever say you will retire?
We also said we never will use that word retire.
No.
Because I think it also is an outdated word. It used to mean, I think, if you worked for one company for 40 years, you retired
IBM.
and got the pension.
Blue suit, tie, the whole bit.
Did you guys learn it? Did you learn anything about yourselves with this book?
You know, I think we both noticed how much we like the daily reinvention. I mean, when we talk about it, we both say, well, we like to plan our day so that we know there's always going to be one fun thing to do, even if the rest of it is just awful, terrible stuff. You know, you've got something to look forward to. So you try to think about what's next in life. And Emmy has just started it, as she brought you some. She started making chocolate from the bean.
Yay. So, I have a custom-made, handmade. I'm going to be really careful with that bar.
I also think that busy people stay busy. And so you may say, I may have outgrown working in a restaurant for 14 hours a day, but I'm going to find something else to do. And it's not even something that you think about saying, that you have to force yourself to find that thing. It almost finds you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you both live in two beautiful parts of the country.
That's right.
You're in Cape Cod and you're in Sausalito.
Yeah.
Will you stay in those places?
Well, I actually have a little beach house near Erin.
Okay.
And because I grew up in the East Coast, love California, but we don't have summer out there. Not we have fall.
Not like we do, yeah.
I was poking around about the pastry thing with you because I noticed in your bio where you went to college. You went to Denison. I went to school right down the road at Marietta. And I know they didn't teach pastry and that sort of stuff at that liberal arts college. What did you study?
Sociology. Okay. Which is the old communication. Now everyone majors in communications for that basic liberal arts. But I think, too, it's like people say, well, did you have to go to college to be a pastry chef? No, but I couldn't have written 6 cookbooks probably without going to college and learning about the process of learning and getting a liberal arts
That's
education.
the key. You're taught how to be a lifelong learner, how to solve problems, how to find information.
Critical thinking.
Critical thinking,
Critical thinking, right.
All right, we have to sadly wrap it up. What do you say, Tim? Time is never
Time's
our
a
friend.
thief.
Time's a thief.
But that was from Little Edie. From Grey Gardens.
Wait.
I take credit for it.
No, we don't want that in there. That was too depressing. We wanted to keep the positive.
Time is a thief.
Right. Time is a thief.
All right, so Who's Counting? The little quote book about growing older and still kicking ass. Nicely done.
Available at bookstores
Erin was the
McHugh
title on that.
and Emily Luchetti. Pick it up wherever fine books are sold. We have it up on screen there. You guys are going to be doing a Barnes & Noble reading
tomorrow night on the Upper East Side of New York. Yep.
So whereabouts on the Upper East Side for those listening?
86th Street in Lexington.
86 in Lexington. 7 p.m.
We'll be there.
Tomorrow night.
Talking about getting older and still kicking ass.
Select readings from Who's Counting?
Yes, not only
With
that.
mirth
We
and
got
laughter,
plenty to
let
say.
old wrinkles come. William Shakespeare.
Thank you.
That was the bar.
You want to come and read?
Thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
It's been a pleasure. Tim, another belated happy birthday again.
you.
Yes,
And
happy
again,
birthday.
congrats on this.
Thank
This
you
is a
so
real
much.
achievement. Anybody who does a book deserves, well, not every book deserves this kind of credit. I'll just say it that way.
We'll take it.
Hey, we want to thank Deep Discount for being a partner of ours here on the Focus Group. Go to focusgroupradio.com, click on the shark, and begin your that's the Sharky. Begin your shopping experience. And we always like to say, don't text and drive, arrive alive. So everybody stay healthy and happy, and don't grow older. Get your Who's Counting today. We'll see you next week.
It's The Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.
That was a stunning focus group.